What's up guys, my name's Brandon and iOS 14.5 Beta 3 was released to developers and to public beta testers earlier this week. And as I do every weekend, I wanted to give you guys a follow-up review on the software to see how it's been performing. We're going to discuss some more additional new features and read the feedback from you guys in the community poll. So yeah, this specific beta release was a really strange one. I mean, the iOS and iPadOS betas came out a day before the tvOS update and 2 days before the watchOS update. So for whatever reason, the tvOS and the watchOS betas were released 1 and 2 days after the iOS release. And the macOS release was on the same day, but just before the iOS and iPadOS beta release. So kind of confusing, but if you were there on that day and you followed me on Twitter, you knew how this release cycle went down. So kind of strange, but you know, we're here on beta 3 and we're quickly approaching the final release of 14.5. Now, before we get into the talks about the final release and when we can expect that, or how beta 3 has been running in terms of the performance and the battery life, let's first go over some more new features and changes found in this beta 3 update. And the first thing has to do with the Apple Watch and unlocking the Apple Watch from the iPhone. So as you guys know, there's a feature in iOS and watchOS where you can unlock your watch, that has a passcode on it if you unlock your phone. It's not a new feature, but there is a new glyph in the pop-up that you get when you unlock your watch from your iPhone. You can see there, we have a new watch glyph to the left of where it says Brandon's Apple Watch unlocked. So it looks a lot better here in 14.5 in my opinion than it did in previous versions. Another new feature here in beta 3 is this new splash screen for the Find My application. So you can see here it says support for accessories, add non-Apple products to Find My, locate your backpack, luggage, headphones, or other items, improve notifications, and the Find My network. So this is a new splash screen here in beta 3. Then also we have a new item safety setting and a new pop-up in the Find My application. So you can see here, it says turn off item safety features. So basically, this is how Apple is going to prevent people from stalking you with an AirTag. So if somebody snuck one of those small little AirTags in like a woman's purse or something like that and tried to follow her, your phone will notice that the AirTag is, on you or, being carried with you, and it will warn you. This is on by default, and this is the type of notification you will get if something like that happens. So this was pointed out over on Twitter by Ben Mayo, as you can see right there. So thanks to him for bringing this to my attention. So very interesting new feature there, and I think that is a great feature, a great privacy feature for the AirTags, and that's going to kind of alleviate one of the biggest concerns that I know myself and probably a lot of people have already thought about and considered. And if you wanted the exact verbiage that Apple uses, it says the owner of an unknown item will be able to see your location and you will no longer receive notifications when an unknown item is found moving with you. So then you get the option to disable that Find My tag. So I guess it would just disable it and they would not be able to track your location the moment that you hit disable. So really cool feature there coming, and I really cannot wait for the AirTags to come out so I can really see all of this in action. Another new feature here in beta 3 is a very small UI change. If we go into the music application and then go into the AirPlay menu right here, you will notice that the speakers and TVs where it shows right there is no longer in all caps. So before, that would be every letter was capitalized, and it, in my opinion, kind of looked tacky. It didn't, not tacky, but just didn't look near as good. It looks more refined and cleaner now that it's not in caps lock right there. So really small change that I noticed here in beta 3. Also on iPadOS 14.5 beta 3, it appears that we have a new out of battery screen on the iPads. So shout out to this Reddit user for capturing this photo. Now another new feature which has nothing to do with iOS 14.5 beta 3, this is just a new feature on Apple's website, but I did want to cover it in this video, is if you go to privacy.apple.com, you now have a couple of new things you could do here. So you can get a copy of your data right here. So if you want a copy of all the data that Apple collects, you can do that. Then also this one right here is interesting. So transfer a copy of your data. So it says you can transfer a copy of your data to another participating service. This option is currently available for your iCloud photos and videos. So if you go to that, you'll see you're actually able to freely transfer and seamlessly transfer over all of your iCloud photos over to Google Photos. So if you wanted to do that, Apple is now offering you a very seamless way to do that. And you can see there, that's how many photos and videos I have. It's about almost 300 gigabytes. I could transfer that over to Google Photos using privacy.apple.com. So now I wanted to move on to some of the bugs I've been facing here in iOS 14.5 beta 3. And the first one, you may have already noticed that I have a little 1 there on my settings, and that's actually the first bug I want to talk about. If we go to my settings, you can see update Apple ID settings, and it asks me to put in my Apple ID password. Now the issue with this is that it happens every single time I reboot my device, and sometimes even just completely random, it will ask me to update my Apple ID, put in my passcode. So it's not just me. I've also searched around. I've seen other people leaving comments on my videos. So this is definitely a bug here in beta 3, the fact that Apple asks you to put in your Apple ID every single time you reboot your device. I hope it's not a new feature. There is part of me that thinks it could be kind of like a preventative measure in place so that, somebody, if they stole your phone and rebooted it, they'd have to re-enter the information. But I don't think Apple would do that. I think this is a bug here, every time you reboot. And the next bug is really bizarre. And this is going to sound crazy, but 2 different times this happened. My phone would just randomly start screen recording. That's right. So I would be in like TikTok or I would be somewhere else and my phone would just randomly start recording my screen. It was very bizarre. I do not have back tap on at all on my main phone, my iPhone 12 Pro there, but my phone would just screen record by itself. It's kind of creepy and kind of weird, and it happened twice. The first time I kind of just said, I may have accidentally touched it, I'm not sure, but it happened twice and I wasn't even in my control center or anything. So it was really bizarre, but that is one bug that I'm really curious if anybody else has had that. So let me know in a comment if you've had random screen recordings happen on your phone here in 14.5 beta 3. And then unfortunately, the AirDrop issues have returned for me here in beta 3. So I had these in beta 1, they went away in beta 2, and now for whatever reason, they've returned in beta 3. So for whatever reason, AirDrop is just very inconsistent. I mean, sometimes it will just completely not work. It would just say failed and it would not fail. It would fail the transfer. It would not send over the photos that I was trying to transfer from my Mac Mini. And sometimes it would be from my other iPhone. It would just fail and it would just, say that it could not transfer. Then other times my phone would just not show up on other phones through AirDrop. So really major issues with AirDrop. And like I said, it's not every time, but it is a lot of times, probably half the time, it just simply doesn't work. And that's how it was in beta 1. Didn't happen to beta 2, but now for whatever reason, it's back in beta 3. So hopefully beta 4 fixes up those AirDrop issues. Then I know some people are also having issues with AirPlay. I don't have any issues with AirPlay, streaming to my TV or streaming to my HomePod or anything like that. I have no issues with AirPlay, so if you guys are having issues with that, let me know in a comment down below, and I will try to look into that a little bit more. Another issue that I just had right before I started recording this video is that my audio would sometimes randomly cut out on my AirPods Max. So I'd have my AirPods Max on, I'd be watching a YouTube video, or it'd be in a podcast sometimes, and the audio would just simply cut out for like 3 seconds and then come right back. It wouldn't disconnect or anything like that, it would just randomly cut out. So that's a really weird bug, and I did not have that until beta 3. So if you have that, let me know in a comment as well. And then for those of you on the iPhone 12 with the green tint bug, I have been seeing people reporting that it's still not fixed and they're still having that. It's not as prevalent, it's not as noticeable, I guess. So it seems like it's being fixed for some people, like partially. I'm not sure, I've never had that issue, but I have been seeing people on forums and talking to me directly about their green tint issues on the iPhone 12. So hopefully Apple does come out with an official fix for that. I would imagine it would be like a point update, and I'm imagining they would say that it's been fixed in the release notes as well. So we'll just have to stay patient on that. Now, as far as the performance and the battery life goes, I'm gonna go ahead and run a Geekbench test here on the iPhone 12 to see if it scores any higher than it did the day I installed beta 3, but overall the performance has been pretty good. I mean, it's really no difference in my opinion from beta 2 to beta 3, and it's really the same with the battery life as well. I mean, the battery life to me has pretty much been the same since beta 1. There hasn't been a major difference. I believe beta 2 was a little bit better than beta 1, but still not a major difference, and I'm really comparing 14.5 the betas to 14.4, and we're still not there yet in my opinion. 14.5 still does not get as good a battery life as 14.4, at least in my experience on the iPhone or the iPad. So we're gonna wait and see what this Geekbench test tells us, if it scores higher than the day of, and compare that to beta 2 as well. But overall, the performance, like I said, is not going to be a massive difference going from beta 2 to beta 3. All right, so there we go with the scores. We got a 1592, which I do believe is higher, and then a 4034, which I believe is lower. So let's go ahead and check out the history on that. 4034, so yeah, lower on the multi-core, but yes, higher on the single core. So really close there. Like I said, it's really not going to be a big difference. That is another comparison to beta 3, and then compared to beta 2 down here on February 16th, you can see we are lower in both categories. So once again, doesn't tell the full story, but very interesting results there on the Geekbench tests. Now, I did also want to touch on the watchOS 7.4 Beta 3 update. So this, of course, came out a couple of days after iOS and iPadOS, and you can see here the update was pretty small, about 183 megabytes for me on my Series 6 here, and the update really didn't give us anything new. I mean, it's really just a lot of stability fixes and bug fixes and things like that, but I did have a major issue installing this update, even like a day after. It was almost a full day after when I installed this update on my watch, and there were just major issues. I mean, I had like a pausing issue. It would just be stuck on pausing. Did I have that there? Okay, so I have this issue right here where it would just say unable to check for update consistently. And this is usually what happens when the update first comes out, but this was like a day after the update came out. I didn't get around to updating my watch until just today, actually on Friday. So yeah, I had that issue, and then it just said pause and it wouldn't install. It took me like a while to install this update on my watch. So really interesting. And I just want to know if anybody else had that issue, because I did have a hard time installing beta 3 here. All right, so now let's talk about when we can expect to see a new iOS beta. So we should see iOS 14.5 beta 4 exactly 1 week after the release of beta 3. So beta 3 was released right there on Tuesday, March 2nd. So if Apple does stick to a 1 week cycle, or not stick to, if they switch to a 1 week cycle. So Apple has been on a 2 week cycle, a beta release cycle, but now I would expect them to switch over to a 1 week cycle. So as we're nearing the final release, I would expect Apple to go to a 1 week cycle. And if that were the case, that would mean that most likely on the 9th right there, March 9th, would be when we can expect to see 14.5 beta 4. Then after that, we could potentially see the RC build on the 16th, and then the final on the week of the 22nd, most likely on the 23rd. But that, of course, is if Apple sticks to exactly 1 week for beta 4, RC, and final. So that, of course, depends, but I would expect to see 14.5, the final release, in either the last week of March or even potentially early April. But I think it's going to come at the end of March. And of course, I'll be able to give you a more accurate prediction once we see if Apple does in fact switch over to a 1 week beta release cycle next week. So after next week, I'll have a much better idea as to exactly when the update will come out, the specific day and things like that. And you guys know to follow me on Twitter for details like that. But anyways, let's talk about the community poll now. I want to go ahead and talk to you guys about the community poll. I want to see how you guys responded in this. So if we go right here, you can see I asked, how has iOS 14.5 beta 3 been running for you so far? And you can see 14% said excellent, 8% said good, 4% said not so good, and 75% of you are not on 14.5 beta right now. So 14%, I do believe that's a little bit lower than it was in previous. So yeah, we had 15% on beta 2 and 15% on beta 1. So it appears that people aren't having as good of an experience here on beta 3 compared to beta 1 and beta 2, or it could just be that more people saw this that are not on the beta at all. It looks like 75% for the not on the beta is higher than the other two as well. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and read some of these comments to see what you guys had to say about this update. Liverpool fan says, iPhone XR, everything's been great other than a few random app crashes after I first updated. I'm loving the fact that I can track my Powerbeats Pro with my Find My app now. So nice. So he has his Powerbeats and he can track those with the Find My app. That must be new in 14.5. This guy, Preston's having some issues here on the 12 Pro Max. Decent performance and speed. Face ID seems to be either faster than usual or not recognized at all. Very interesting. Significantly worse battery life during normal usage situations. So some are having worse battery life even on the 12 Pro Max, which should definitely not be getting, bad battery life, but this is a beta. Things like that are expected to happen. So interesting right there. Having issues with AirDrop, that's about it. So Bruce, same. I am starting to have issues with AirDrop now as well. Honestly, the only issue is the battery drain on the SE 2016, but is to be expected, exactly. So we would expect that on the 2016 iPhone SE. Other than that, it is fine. When playing music from the music app, the song that is playing does not reflect in the control center's music controls. It just stays blank, no artwork, no progress. Tried resetting device, still the same, but the play and skip song buttons work. Very interesting. So he's saying when he's playing music and he comes up here in the control center and he looks right there in the platter, it doesn't show the music or the artist when he's playing that music. So very interesting. I've not had that bug, so I'm not too sure what's going on. Maybe try, haptic pressing on that and then going to this and seeing if it's, maybe one of the, if you have like HomePods or something, maybe it's the wrong thing showing up there. I'm not too sure. I've not had a bug like that before. Sometimes my keyboard doesn't appear in the app library section only. Also, the AirDrop is simply impossible to use. Most of the times it doesn't find other devices, but when it does, it doesn't work. So yeah, I'm having issues with AirDrop as well. And I'm not having the issue with the app library. not the keyboard not appearing specifically, but I do know other people have had that, and I've had other issues in the app library as well, which that is a new feature here in iOS 14, so I would expect bugs in there and they will be fixed pretty soon. Masood here says that the battery life is great on his iPhone 11, so that is good, and the performance is good as well. So someone said that when they connect AirPods while watching a YouTube video, it just takes a while for the sound to start playing. Is it just me? So someone said they have an issue. This guy says that he has an issue in the music app. It takes a few seconds for the artwork to load and the song subsequently plays. So really interesting little bugs there with the AirPods on this latest beta here. Microsoft Office keeps crashing while scanning documents on the iPhone 7. Interesting. I know Microsoft Office did have some issues on 14.5 beta 1. It would just crash a lot. So I'm wondering if it has something to do with that. Hopefully they just update their application to fix that as well. Kevin here says that the build is pretty stable, but he did find 2 bugs. One has to do with perspective zoom and Siri shortcuts. It's not, working. It doesn't toggle on or off. Then also a minor lag on Safari's search bar when trying to type in. So I have had the lag in the Safari search bar. That also happens in messages. I know a lot of people have been reporting that for a while. And then the last one I wanted to cover here was from Connor. He says, everything is fine except for the MagSafe charging animation doesn't play anymore. I even downgraded to 14.4 to make sure it wasn't a hardware bug. So yes, that is a bug. I've seen multiple people report on that. So hopefully in the next beta, it will be fixed. And I'm sure by the final, it will definitely be fixed. So thank you to everybody who left a comment here. I'm sorry if I didn't get to read your comment. I try to, talk about them all. Of course, I do read all of them. I just don't read all of them on video. Otherwise, you'd be sitting here, till past midnight. But anyways, yeah. So thanks to everybody who voted almost 8,000 votes in 7 hours. So thank you, and all the comments as well. I really appreciate you guys. It helps bring awareness to some of these bugs and just the overall experience. So thank you for voting and commenting. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for iOS 14.5 beta 3. That was my follow-up review video. Hope you guys did enjoy this. Hope you guys do enjoy these videos. Let me know all of your thoughts down in the comments below. And of course, if you did enjoy this video and you love these videos in general, these follow-up reviews, let me know with a thumbs up on this one. But anyways, guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.